There's been a second day of violent protests in Pakistan as its former Prime Minister Imran Khan appeared in court accused of corruption.
France's National Assembly has adopted a resolution calling on the European Union to list Russian Wagner mercenaries as a terrorist group.
Pakistan remains gripped by tension following the arrest of opposition leader Imran Khan. Amid heightened security, he appeared in a special court in police headquarters in Islamabad, where a judge extended his detention for 8 days. The former Prime Minister was arrested yesterday on corruption charges. The government denies his supporters claim that the case is politically motivated.
And Islamabad High Court has declared his arrest under proper legal procedures and under lawful authority. So this is an arrest which is not motivated by any political victimization. This is an arrest which was not done at the behest of the government.
Riots exploded across the country following Khan's detention, leading to the death of at least one person. Khan is the 7th former Prime Minister to be arrested in Pakistan's turbulent political history.
France's National Assembly has adopted a resolution calling on the EU to list Russian Wagner mercenaries as a terrorist group. The resolution, which is non-binding, has passed with unanimous support across the political spectrum. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has thanked French ministers for adopting the plan.
Окрема вдячність парламенту Франції за сьогоднішнє рішення щодо визнання терористичною російської псевдоприватної групи «Вагнер». Це те, що має бути ухвалено всім світом. Кожен прояв тероризму має бути знищений, а кожен терорист засуджений.
Britain is set to formally prescribe the Wagner Group as a terrorist organization to increase pressure on Moscow. The US has already imposed sanctions on its support network. The resolution's author says the aim is to send a political and symbolic message against the mercenary group, which it says deliberately targets civilians for political gain.
Yevgeny Prigozhin announced that Wagner forces will not withdraw from Bachman by his previously stated deadline of the 10th of May, despite the Russian Ministry of Defense failing to provide Wagner with additional shells. Prigozhin stated on the 9th of May that Wagner will continue to fight for Bakhmut and will continue to uphold its demands in the next few days. The Institute for the Study of War says one of the reasons why Prigozhin is not following through on his threat to withdraw from Bakhmut is his claim that the Russian Ministry of Defense order threatened Wagner with treason if Prigozhin withdrew his forces from Bakhmut. Prigozhin continued to blame high casualties and the slow pace of advances in Bakhmut on other Russian irregular formations to frame Wagner as the only competent force operating in the area. Prigozhin accused the 72nd Motorized Rifle Brigade of the 3rd Army Corps of abandoning a strategic position in Bakhmut, which resulted in 500 Wagner casualties on the 9th of May. Prigozhin accused the Russian Ministry of Defense, which he nicknamed, quote, the Russian Ministry of Drama, of focusing on internal conflicts instead of fighting, which he claimed led forces to run away. Suspilne, Ukraine's state broadcaster, reports that according to the commander of the Azov regiment, the armed forces of Ukraine advanced by 2.6 kilometers during the storming of Russian positions for 2 days and defeated 2 companies of the 72nd Brigade of the Russian Federation. This is not yet reflected on this map. Prigozhin stated that Wagner did not receive the total ammunition the Russian Ministry of Defense allegedly promised and claimed that Wagner only received 10% of the requested ammunition. He also criticized the Russian Potok battalion, which is affiliated with the Russian state energy company Gazprom, for fleeing.
The Russian president signed a decree restoring commercial flights between Georgia and Russia and granting Georgian citizens a visa-free visit to Russia. The move's been described as a provocation by the president of Georgia.
ვიზების აღდგენა, ვიზების პირიქით მოხსნა არ გვჭირდება, არც ფრენების აღდგენა, სანამ რუსეთი არის თემსოფლიოსთვის აგრესორი და სანამ რუსეთი არის ჩვენი ტერიტორიების ოკუპანტი, ასეთი ჟესტი ნამდვილად უდრო არის და მიუღებელი.
Diplomatic relations between Georgia and Russia have been frozen since Moscow's invasion of Georgia in 2008. The Russians banned direct commercial flights to Georgia in 2019. The new regime is due to start from May the 15th and will allow Georgians to stay for 90 days. Georgia's government says sanctioned Russian companies will be banned.
დღის მონაცემებით იცით რომ რუსეთის ფედერაციიდან პირდაპირ ფრენები ხორციელდება არაერთი ქვეყნის მიმართულებით. ჩვენი ქვეყნის მილიონამდე მოქალაქე ცხოვრობს რუსეთის ფედერაციაში და ეს გადაწყვეტილება მნიშვნელოვნად ხელშეუწყობს მათ მოგზაურობას.
Georgia's opposition has also criticised the restoration of commercial flights and visas. At the same time, the vast majority of Georgians support European integration. In December, the European Commission will decide whether Tbilisi will be granted an EU candidate member state status. The political opposition and part of society worry that Vladimir Putin's recent decision will hinder that process.
Europe needs 2 victories in 1 year. That's according to the President of Portugal. The first one is peace in Ukraine. The other is defeating populism in next year's European elections. Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa was speaking to MEPs in Strasbourg on Wednesday, where he said that EU leaders must anticipate solutions rather than just reacting to crises. One of these solutions is signing new political and trade agreements around the world.
A União Europeia não pode esquecer ou congelar por egoísmos fúteis parcerias e acordos com continentes fundamentais para ela, como a África, como a América Latina, em alguns aspectos com a Ásia. Não pode adiar aquilo que a prazo só criará problemas nas migrações e na compreensão do peso da Europa no mundo. Os egoísmos nacionais têm de ceder perante os valores da União Europeia.
EU election dates were also up for discussion, and the challenge of convincing people to go to their polling stations will be key. For now, the election date will fall on a weekend just before a national holiday, with many preferring leisure activities instead of voting. Celebrating its National Day on the 10th of June, Portugal is the only member state opposed to the proposed date at the beginning of June next year. But European Parliament President Roberta Metsola says she's willing to help get the necessary consensus.
I know that this is not an ideal weekend for Portugal. I know that this is an issue that is in several countries. Every weekend presents a particular difficulty, so what we will have to do while we are still waiting for official confirmation of the date is to encourage as many people to vote.
If there is no unanimous agreement on another date, Portugal may change its tradition of Sunday elections and use the possibility of an early vote.
France's Catherine Colonna and Germany's Annalena Baerbock, 2 foreign ministers standing shoulder to shoulder on Russia's war and with a shared view on China's duties as a permanent member of the UN Security Council.
Il est nécessaire que la Chine utilise ses relations avec la Russie pour faire mieux comprendre à la Russie qu'elle est dans une impasse et lui demander, je reprends son expression, de revenir à la raison, de façon à adopter une nouvelle attitude et une attitude qui soit celle d'un retour à la paix et non pas de la continuation de la guerre.
China's foreign minister could be forgiven for a sense of déjà vu. It was a message he'd already heard in Berlin. Beijing's desire to play mediator in the war met by EU partners considering sanctions against any Chinese firms selling arms to Moscow. President Macron, who visited China last month, believes Beijing can play a great role in achieving peace, although he didn't agree with the Chinese plan. Caring for refugees has put a financial strain on Germany's 16 states. They're urging the central government to help out, saying they need an additional €1 billion this year. The The federal government's agreed to increase payments, but is concerned it won't be able to continue doing so in the future. This latest development highlights the ongoing challenges faced by Germany and other EU countries in managing the refugee crisis and ensuring the well-being of those seeking asylum within their borders.
The famed auction house Christies is coming under pressure not to proceed with the sale of priceless jewellery that originally belonged to Nazi-era Jews. A staggering 700 pieces were bought by the businessman husband of heiress Heidi Horton. Jewish owners sold the jewellery under duress as they fled Nazi Germany.
So number one, if Christie's wants to do the right thing, and they should, they need to halt the sale. Halt it now before it's complete. Number two, they should make an effort. And now we live in the social media world. It can't be that difficult to make a global effort to try to identify the rightful heirs of these items.
With criticism mounting, Christies says it will donate the profits to Holocaust education programs.
Mr. Horton's business activities during the Second World War are well documented, and that is something that Christie's carefully considered when pitching for this collection. And we took on this collection in the understanding that 100% of the final sale proceeds will go to philanthropic causes.
The sale began online ahead of an in-person auction in Geneva. It's expected the collection will raise more than €150 million.